I have a brother who used to do some driving for Uber here in the Providence area. And he got to the point where on a weekend when he was picking up college students and returning them to their dorms or to their campus, he was able to identify what school they went to by the certain characteristics and behaviors when they got in his vehicle. And there were probably 4 or 5 different schools they could have gotten to. And yet he was able to almost predict which school they were based on their behaviors. So when my daughter about 4 or 5 years ago was heading to the University of Pittsburgh, city not that dissimilar to Providence in size and the number of schools, I decided to Uber it one day and ask the Uber driver about the students from each college and whether he could tell a difference. And of course, he had the same experience my brother did. And he said, oh yeah, I can tell exactly what school they came from. And some of the things are really interesting. He would say, well, kids from this school would get in extremely drunk and missing at least something, a license, a wallet, their phone. They'd be missing something and scrambling around. Kids from another school would get in, might be moderately drunk, but were able to converse with one another pretty routinely, but would argue with each other back and forth. And he said another school, they would get in the car and there would be very little communication between the two of them. They'd be quiet, sitting on their phones. They weren't usually intoxicated, and I'd drop them at their campus. And then there were the kids that would get in the car, they'd be a little bit inebriated, they had their phone, they had everything with them, and they would engage with me in a conversation. And so he was able to profile each of the schools by the students, and it was just fascinating to me that he was able to share that with us and do it. My brother was able to do the same thing. So what I got from this really is that when you're visiting towns or cities or areas that you haven't been in, you're using an Uber driver, ask them to profile the people that go to this particular school, restaurant, hotel, and ask them to, or her, what you can learn from those people, because it's a great way to cheat and discover some things about a city you might not be familiar with, about a school you might not be familiar with, about a restaurant, anything from a hotel to any kind of attraction. Uber drivers, Lyft drivers as well, I suppose, are great resources to pick up cheat notes. That's my experience with it. It's my brother's as well. Have a great day, everybody.